Hi, welcome to the first episode of Ask an English Coach, a series where I allow you to ask me a question about learning English, improving your pronunciation, reducing your foreign accent, anything related to accent reduction. My first question.
Hey Jesse, Irish here. I just got a quick question. So I've been trying to improve my English and my accent for a long time, and I've definitely gotten a little bit better, but currently I'm in a position where I don't see a lot of improvements with the way that I talk. I've been in this place for a long time, and I've been plateauing in this same spot. I'm not able to get above it. It's just really hard for me to improve further. Do you have any tips for me or something that I can keep in mind to improve my speaking skills in that, especially my accent? I mean, I've gotten a little bit better, but I still want to get to that close to native-like spot.
Cool. Thank you so much for your message. You're my first one, so I'm really excited about this. First, I want to address your question or your concern about the plateau you feel like you've been experiencing. And I want you to know that this is something that I generally expect. I expect to see in my clients, and I expect to see in my own language learning journey, because English is my first language, but I also speak French and Spanish, and I'm working on Ukrainian. So this is usually what I expect, and it's this. So let me explain this graph first. This is the timeline. And this is when we start working on our accent and improving English. And this is as we go into the future. Then this line, this axis represents your accent. Down here being an accent that really resembles your first language. And this here being sounding like an American, right? This is the goal for some people, or Australian or British, whatever your goal is. So in the beginning, especially when you are really difficult to understand, as you learn how to correct and tweak a few sounds, maybe it's just one sound or two sound or three sounds, whoop, in a short amount of time, your accent is going to improve and it's going to be like, wow. So I like working with all my clients, but I especially find this really gratifying to work with clients in this section here, because I know that I'm going to see huge results if they practice and do what I ask them to do. Then it gets to the point where you put just as much effort in, but it starts to slow down. And as you get near the end, it slows down a lot and it gets kind of difficult. And I feel like this is where I am in my French journey. And I'm getting to the point where I feel like I have no other choice but to hire a professional to really listen and give me feedback. But so what your experience is normal, is what I'm trying to say. And you're going to find that you're going to have to put a lot more effort, a lot more time, be a lot more intentional for every little improvement. So don't be discouraged. It's normal. And if you are an accent coach and you're watching this, please let me know how you find my approach and way of looking at this. What advice do you have for your clients? And feel free to share with other people what accent you teach. Please feel free to share where people can find you. Don't add any links into my comments because YouTube doesn't allow links in my comment section, but it can help people find you. So if you work with a certain group of people and you help people develop a certain kind of accent, let us know in the comments. Next, you probably already know this because you've done such a good job in achieving the accent that you have right now. It's amazing. So I'm going to be sharing something. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but there's a lot of people who may not know this. When you want to achieve a certain accent, so let's say an American accent, you really want to compare your current accent, which is influenced by your native language and whatever progress you've already made, and you want to compare it with the accent that you want. You have to look, compare. What's different? What doesn't sound like the accent I want? And then you have to target whatever it is that doesn't sound like you want, and then change it so that it can become more American or whatever you want it to be. So these are some questions that I would ask myself when I'm comparing my accent or my client's accent to their goal accent. So questions you want to ask yourself is, what is different? If English is not your first language, you might be able to hear a difference and know what the difference is up to a certain point. For example, I'm speaking for myself as a French learner. I'm able to hear some of the differences, but I'm to the point where I don't know what sounds wrong anymore. I don't know what doesn't sound like my target accent anymore. So that's why I need a professional, someone who is a native speaker. So ask yourself, what is different? If you can't identify it, you might need a native speaker to help you with that, or an accent coach or whatever. If you do hire an accent coach, make sure they have the accent that you want. And then you're going to want to change that. You're going to change that through repetition, through practice. And what I normally recommend and what I've learned is that it's important to work on one sound or aspect at a time, practice it, learn how to hear the difference between the incorrect pronunciation and the correct one. Once you can identify it, hear the difference, then you're going to practice producing that sound. You're going to want to make sure you have feedback from a native speaker or someone who can identify if you've said it correctly or not. And then you're going to practice. Let me share with you something. So let's say you're working on a sound. When I listened to your voice message, there were some things that sounded kind of British. And I asked you if you have any British influence in your life, and you were not really aware of that. But I have asked ChatGPT, and it sounds like people who speak Sanskrit as a first language might have some British influence in their English. I don't remember why, but it is something that I've heard among other English learners who speak Sanskrit as a first language. So that might actually be the sound that you're looking for. Like when you're listening to yourself speak, you might be saying to instead of to. You said it, I think you said to improve or something. Let me listen to that again.
Improve my speaking skills and that.
Yeah.
Especially my accent. I mean, I've gotten a better, but I still want to get trying to improve my speaking skills.
To improve, right? There's certain things that sounded a little more British. So that might be something that if you wanted to have a more uniform accent, you would have to listen to it and say, okay, that's a little bit British. Whenever I say this sound, I say it as, like as a British sound. So I'm going to focus on mastering that sound. But your English, like I said, it's so good that it's hard to really, it's going to take a lot of work to improve it. I want to be careful. When I say to improve it, I mean to acquire more of an American accent. And the accent that you have now, nothing wrong with it. It's not bad to have an accent, but I know some people want to have an almost or near native or perfect American accent. So that might be your goal, but know that your accent is fine. It's understandable. It's kind of elegant. I feel like anything that has a little more of a British tone to it sounds more elegant, so it's not bad. But if you wanted to modify your accent to become more American, you'd want to listen for patterns or listen for sounds that you are not pronouncing like an American. Target that sound daily, practice daily. So like I said, you're going to learn to identify it, learn to produce it, and you want to practice it daily. Maybe it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, and make it a habit. So get a list of words, say it over and over again, get lists of phrases with those sounds over and over again until your muscle memory and that habit really breaks through, where instead of you sounding like something a little bit like British, I know that you don't say complete phrases like British, but like instead of saying like to, you start saying to, you, how are you, not how are you, right? That's something that I kind of hear my Sanskrit speaking English learners say, like to, no, you. Be careful. So finding that pattern, targeting that sound, and then getting feedback, making sure that you have someone in your life with an American accent, someone who can listen for it and tell you if you've mastered that sound correctly in your spoken English or not. Because if you continue to practice and develop a habit and you have not mastered that correct pronunciation, you're not really improving, or you're not getting closer to the goal, your goal, if your goal is to have more of an American accent. And then of course, once you've mastered that specific sound or that specific word or pattern or whatever it is that does not sound like it would with an American accent, then you can move on to the next sound. If you want to know why it gets harder once you've achieved a certain level of English, a certain level of improving your pronunciation, click here. This video is going to help you understand that a lot better, and it's going to put it into perspective. So check that out there, and I'll see you in that video. Take care. Bye.